Good afternoon, everybody, and this is an update to Hurricane Hanna as of 12:35 p.m. this Saturday, July 25th. Quick key messages. At this point, all preparedness should be completed. Repeat, all preparedness should be completed. We're still expecting devastating to potentially catastrophic flash flooding later this evening through Sunday for the populated Rio Grande Valley. The timing will be late this afternoon through daybreak on Sunday. Floodwater depths could be 3 feet or higher in poor drainage areas where the heaviest and persistent bands or squalls occur. We might have flash flood emergencies being issued depending on what we're seeing and hearing about out there on the ground. Expected rainfall is 6 to 12 inches, locally up to 18 inches, but the rainfall rates are critical. We could see 2 to 3 inches per hour for several hours, which would trigger the rapid onset of flooding. The southwest eye wall with 30 to 50 mile per hour winds is reaching the populated Rio Grande Valley by 3 p.m. Minor wind damage and scatter power outages beginning then, so be prepared for that, with widespread outages and heavier damage expected from Raymondville to Falfurrias. Flooded beaches today on South Padre Island with some Laguna-side high water this afternoon as winds shift and increase out of the west. Here's your warnings right now. We have warnings through the King Ranch up to Brooks County and Willacy County with tropical storm warnings for the rest of the Rio Grande Valley and deep South Texas. Our impact potential here, we're most worried about rainfall, flash flooding, catastrophic potential, devastating likely. And we're looking at some river flooding in the forms of arroyos and smaller streams going to bankfull, and in places where the levee is protected, flooding inside the levee. Winds will be a strong issue, especially in Kennedy and Brooks County, but don't be surprised if we get some strong gusts in places like Willacy County from Raymondville over to Hidalgo County and Edinburgh, down into Cameron County, places like Harlingen. So be prepared for that. Not a good day to be on the waters. We suggest everybody remain in port today and probably Sunday as well. Here's a radar at 12 o'clock p.m. There is your Hurricane Hanna. Beautiful depiction here. The southern and western eye wall is rather impressive and intense. That's where we think there are hurricane force winds occurring right now on the Kennedy County coastline. But some of these are nudging southwestward, so we're getting gusts as high as 63 miles per hour near Port Mansfield right now. And that will probably continue through the middle of the afternoon. And some of those winds, perhaps gusting 50 to 60 miles per hour, could reach the populated Rio Grande Valley between 3 and 6 p.m. So what do we say to everybody? Hunker down right now. Stay off the roads as nuisance flooding will begin by late afternoon. More significant flooding coming this evening. There's your satellite view, the information right here. Now approximately 50 miles or so northeast of Port Mansfield, making landfall on the King Ranch late this afternoon. And notice that the 39 to 57 miles per hour winds extend 60 miles to the southwest of the center. We just showed you that on radar. They are going to reach into the Rio Grande Valley. And if it gets higher than 50 and close to 60, we'll start seeing damage and more significant power outages. So be aware of that as we get later into this afternoon. Here's our map again of the dangerous flash flooding potential. Rainfall totals up to 10 to 15 inches in a stripe that includes much of Interstate 2 and most of the population of the Rio Grande Valley. 8 to 10 inches is nothing to sneeze at around that area. That includes the rest of the Rio Grande Valley. Lesser amounts up in the northern ranch lands from Heavenville to Zapata, but still a flood threat there. It's not zero, so be careful. Key here is 3+ feet of water depth potential with this event, particularly in these areas from the 8 to 15 inches. We saw this with prior floods in both 2018 and 2019, as well as with Dolly in 2008. And here we go again for a third year in a row. So here's a comparison with Dolly. It's not too different, right? We've got 12 to 18 inches of rain, slightly different axis from central Hidalgo County down through Laguna Vista, including Harlingen, Raymondville, San Benito. This time the axis a little more the northeast to southwest line, but it does include Harlingen, San Benito, and Weslaco and Mercedes once again. So we have to be aware of that. And again, 8 to 10 inches elsewhere. So the comparison not too far off if you're looking for something to hang your hat on to tell people about how to prepare for this event. This is what it looked like in 2018 in Los Fresnos. The remainder of these pictures are post-Hurricane Dolly in Cameron County. We think it will look like this in some locations, maybe many locations, as we get into Sunday morning daybreak. The heaviest rain will be occurring late this afternoon, but especially this evening and overnight in darkness. So we really want people to be safe at home through this event. The wind threat's also an issue. We're already seeing these winds in the orange area reaching Willacy County of 35 to 40, gusting to 65. But we could see gusts above hurricane force sneaking into Willacy County later this afternoon. We don't think those winds will reach the populated valley, but still be on guard for this. Expect to see some damage in places such as Raymondville, potentially Falfurrias, with unanchored mobile homes being damaged and poorly built buildings sustaining some damage and many trees down as well. Elsewhere, scattered power outages, and we'll see some damage to mobile homes and poorly built structures, especially those with a south and west exposure. That's the most concerning here, as the winds will be backing from the west this afternoon, eventually to the southwest, and then to the south overnight, and still blowing at a pretty good clip, although not as strong as they will be blowing this afternoon and this evening. Coastal flooding impacts, we saw this morning courtesy of spadre.com. Thank you to them. They're a weather radiation ambassador. Water to the dune lines, levels were 1.5 feet above where they normally would be, where your toes meet the surf on a normal day. It was 1.5 feet higher than that, and it ran up to the dune line. You can see people standing here, but at least the trash cans are off. This will continue through the next high tide cycle, which is early this evening. At the same time, though, Laguna side, we expect some water to start flowing back to the east, maybe up to 2 feet. That's not a major deal, but it could affect some boats and some docks that are on Laguna, the Laguna side of South Padre Island. So be aware of that. Surf will be high, confused, and rough, so no sense in getting out there. There's a storm surge warning for Padre Island, north of Port Mansfield, up into the Corpus Christi Bay area. Looking at inundation of 2 to 4 feet there. We've had reports of Bob Hall Pier of a 4-foot storm surge, which means up to 3 to 4 feet above ground level, and that prompts the warning. Same thing could very well be happening north of Mansfield. Farther south, however, we're looking at 1 to 3 feet maximum, more like 1 to 2 feet. We just showed you the 1.5. That seems to be right in range with that. That's a good news for the South Padre that we've had lower tides. These are the astronomically low tides that we do get in the summertime, and that is allowing the water just to run up to the dune line or just into the dunes rather than potentially breaking the seawall, getting onto Gulf Boulevard. So that's good news for South Padre through this event. There is a possibility of some tornadoes later on. Nothing very strong, but as we get into the backside of this, as the landfall occurs late this afternoon and our winds begin to back from the west to the southwest and south, some of those individual cells that they do develop could produce small tornadoes. So be aware of that. While you're hunkering down, you might need to move from rooms with windows to interior rooms with all walls and no windows in case it's a tornado warning issue. So finally, additional information. Again, last minute preparation should already be done. Prepare for that dangerous flash flooding. Please stay home. A lot of this rain is going to fall after sunset, but the initial surge is coming in the late afternoon after 3 p.m., particularly for the populated Rio Grande Valley. Postpone your outdoor activities through the weekend. Tides will be running up into the dunes again at high tide this evening. And we may have some sloshing of water back into the dunes or towards the dunes again tomorrow at high tide in the morning. But with the tide predictions lower, it's not going to be too big of a deal, but still just not a good time to be on the beach if you don't have to. Save it for when the weather clears. Stay tuned for updates. We have them here at our website and at hurricanes.gov. You can always find us on social media. We have 2 staffers working hard for you day and night to answer your questions on Facebook, Twitter, and we have some videos going up on YouTube. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll be back around 2:30, maybe a little bit later than that, and then we'll be back after that after the next Hurricane Center update at 4 p.m., hopefully on the air at 4:30. Have a great one. This is Warning Coordination Meteorologist Barry Goldsmith. Stay safe and stay home.